The early morning fog still clung to the ground around Tesla's Fremont factory as the first rays of sunlight painted the sky in soft orange hues. In a quiet corner of the vast employee parking lot, between rows of shiny Teslas and modern SUVs, sat a weathered 2008 Honda Civic. The car's navy blue paint had faded over the years, but its owner kept it meticulously clean. It was, after all, now serving as both transportation and shelter. Inside, Mai Li stirred awake to the gentle vibration of her phone alarm. She had carefully arranged her small world inside the Civic. A neatly folded blanket in the back seat, a small cooler tucked behind the passenger seat, and a hanging organizer on the back of the driver's seat holding her few remaining professional outfits. The trunk housed her most precious possession, a laptop where she continued to practice coding, clinging to the skills that had once earned her a six-figure salary. As she sat up and stretched in the reclined driver's seat, May caught a glimpse of her reflection in the rearview mirror. Despite the dark circles under her eyes, she maintained a determined expression. Just 6 months ago, she had been leading development teams at a promising startup. Then came her daughter Lisa's diagnosis, followed by mounting medical bills that drained her savings faster than she could have imagined. The startup's sudden downsizing was the final blow that left her with no choice but to give up her apartment. Every morning, May would drive to the nearby 24-hour fitness center, where she maintained her cheapest possible membership. She had developed a careful routine. Arrive before the morning rush, use the shower and facilities quickly, and change into one of her carefully preserved business casual outfits. The gym's Wi-Fi allowed her to send out job applications and work on small freelance coding projects while Lisa attended school, thankfully still able to stay with May's sister in the meantime. The Tesla parking lot had become her preferred overnight spot, well lit, relatively safe, and close to several public amenities. She had learned to park near a corner where security cameras provided an extra sense of safety, but not too close to draw attention. Other employees' cars would start arriving soon, and May had perfected the art of blending in, looking like she was just another early arriving professional. As she gathered her gym bag and checked that her interview clothes hadn't wrinkled too badly overnight, May noticed a sleek black Model S pulling into the lot. Her heart skipped a beat when she recognized the distinctive profile of Elon Musk himself, known for his surprise early morning factory visits. She quickly ducked down, hoping her car wouldn't draw attention, but it was too late. The Model S had already pulled into a spot just 2 spaces away. Through her slightly foggy window, Mai watched as Musk stepped out of his car, his attention caught by something about her vehicle. Maybe it was the way condensation had formed on the inside of her windows, or perhaps the carefully arranged belongings visible through the glass. Whatever it was, she held her breath as he began walking toward her car. In that moment, Mai faced a choice that would change the course of her life. She could start her car and drive away, preserving her pride but losing her safe parking spot, or she could face whatever was coming with the same determination that had kept her going these past months. Taking a deep breath, she straightened her jacket, checked her reflection one last time, and reached for the door handle. If this was going to be the day security finally asked her to leave, she would at least face it with dignity. Little did she know that this seemingly unfortunate encounter would lead to something far different than she imagined, setting in motion a chain of events that would not only transform her own life, but inspire a movement of change within the tech industry itself. The morning air was crisp as Elon Musk walked toward the Honda Civic, his curiosity piqued by the subtle signs that something was different about this particular car. He'd noticed it during his last few visits to the factory, always perfectly parked in the same spot, but something about it today made him stop and look closer. As he approached, the door opened, and out stepped a woman in her mid-30s, wearing a well-maintained but clearly worn business suit. Her movements were precise, practiced, the kind of efficiency you develop when you've learned to live with less. She stood straight, meeting his gaze with a mixture of apprehension and quiet determination. "Good morning," Musk said, his voice carrying genuine curiosity rather than judgment. I've noticed your car here several times during my morning inspections. I apologize if I'm not supposed to park here, May replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. I'll move right away. Musk shook his head, his attention caught by the laptop visible through the window, its screen showing lines of code. Are you a programmer? He asked, gesturing toward the computer. Mai hesitated for a moment before answering. Yes, I was a senior software engineer, specialized in AI and machine learning. She paused, then added with a hint of pride, I still am, actually. Just between positions at the moment. Something in her tone made Musk look closer at the car. The perfectly organized interior, the small power inverter connected to a laptop charger, the way personal belongings were carefully hidden but clearly there. It told a story he'd seen before, but rarely with someone of her professional background. Would you mind showing me what you're working on? He asked, pointing to the laptop. It wasn't what Mai had expected to hear, and her surprise showed on her face. She reached into the car and pulled out her laptop, opening it to reveal a complex coding project. It's a neural network model I've been developing. Even without access to high-end computing resources, I've been trying to improve on some of the common autonomous driving challenges. Musk's eyes lit up with interest as she explained her work. The code was elegant, innovative, the kind of thinking his teams were always searching for. But what caught his attention even more was how she had managed to do this level of work under such challenging circumstances. How long? He asked simply, looking at the car. Mai took a deep breath. 3 months, she answered. My daughter's medical bills, then the layoffs at my previous company. She stopped, unwilling to make excuses or ask for pity. Musk nodded, pulling out his phone and quickly typing something. Moments later, the factory's head of security appeared, walking briskly toward them. May's heart sank. This was it, she thought. She'd have to find another safe place to park. John, Musk addressed the security head, please ensure Ms. He looked at May questioningly. Lee, she supplied. May Lee. Please ensure Ms. Lee has access to the employee parking garage from now on. And he turned back to May. I'd like you to come with me to meet our AI team. That neural network you're working on. I think they'll be very interested in seeing it. May stood frozen for a moment, trying to process what was happening. Was this real? The man she'd only seen in news headlines and viral tweets was standing in front of her, not just offering help, but offering an opportunity based on her work. I should mention, she said, finding her voice, I'm currently living in. She gestured to her car. We can address that, Musk replied matter-of-factly. But first, let's talk about your code. That's what really matters here. As they walked toward the factory entrance, May clutched her laptop close. For the first time in months, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. Not just for herself, but for her daughter, for their future. Sometimes life's biggest turning points come disguised as ordinary moments, and this ordinary morning was about to change everything. The Tesla factory's main entrance was bustling with early morning activity as Musk led May through the security checkpoint. She clutched her laptop bag tightly, still trying to process how quickly her world had shifted. Just 30 minutes ago, she had been waking up in her car, and now she was walking through one of the most advanced automotive facilities in the world. The security guard smiled warmly as Musk introduced May and requested a temporary badge for her. Welcome to Tesla, the guard said, handing her a visitor pass. May's hands trembled slightly as she clipped it to her jacket, the same jacket she'd been carefully maintaining for job interviews over the past months. As they walked through the facility, Musk asked about her background. Tell me more about your experience, he said, his pace steady but unhurried. What drove you to focus on autonomous driving systems? Mai took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. I've always believed that technology should solve real problems, she began. 5 years ago, My friend was in a terrible car accident. The other driver had fallen asleep at the wheel. That's when I realized, if we could perfect self-driving technology, we could prevent so many tragedies. Musk nodded, listening intently. They passed through various sections of the factory, where robots and humans worked in synchronized harmony. Mai couldn't help but notice how different employees greeted Musk, not with fearful reverence, but with genuine respect and easy familiarity. They reached a large open workspace filled with monitors displaying complex algorithms and testing scenarios. A small team of engineers was already at work, gathered around a large screen showing simulation results. "This is our core AI team," Musk explained. "They've been working on some of the same challenges you've been tackling." May's heart raced as she opened her laptop and began explaining her work. Despite her nervousness, the moment she started talking about her neural network model, her confidence returned. She pointed out how she'd approached the problem of predicting pedestrian movement patterns differently, using public datasets and limited computing power to achieve surprisingly accurate results. The team gathered around, their interest visibly growing as she walked them through her code. One of the senior engineers spoke up. "This is fascinating. You've solved the processor overhead issue we've been struggling with for weeks. And you did this without access to our resources." "I had to be creative," May replied, a small smile playing at her corners of her mouth. "When you're coding from your car using public Wi-Fi, you learn to make every bit of processing power count." The room fell silent for a moment. May worried she'd said too much, but then Musk spoke up. "That's exactly the kind of thinking we need here. Innovation often comes from working with constraints." He turned to face her directly. "We'd like to offer you a position on the team. 3-month trial period to start. Full benefits begin immediately." May's vision blurred with tears she fought to hold back. I need to be honest," she said, her voice steady despite her emotion. "I have a daughter. She's staying with my sister right now because I couldn't. Living in the car." "All the more reason to start immediately," Musk interrupted gently. "The benefits package includes temporary housing assistance. We want you focused on your work, not worried about where you'll sleep tonight." The team lead stepped forward, extending her hand. "Welcome aboard," she said warmly. "We start at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Today, let's get you settled." As Mai shook hands with her new colleagues, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in one of the dark monitors. She saw more than just herself. She saw her future, her daughter's future, transforming before her eyes. Sometimes the darkest moments really are just before dawn, she thought, remembering all those mornings waking up in her car. "Thank you," she said finally, turning to Musk. "Not just for the job, but for seeing me, really seeing me, when most people just looked away." "You did this," he replied simply. "Your talent, your resilience, your unwillingness to give up. That's what got you here. We just opened the door. You walked through it on your own merit." Later that afternoon, Musk sat in his office, reviewing May's complete employment history on his laptop. Her story has struck a chord, not just because of her current situation, but because it highlighted a bigger problem in the tech industry. Her resume showed an impressive career spanning 15 years, with achievements that should have made her unemployment impossible. He clicked through her previous company's public records, finding news about their sudden shutdown. Hundreds of talented employees had been let go with barely any notice. His assistant knocked on the door, bringing in the background check results he'd requested. "You'll want to see this," she said, placing the folder on his desk. The documents told a heart-wrenching story. Medical bills totaling over $300,000 for her daughter's rare condition. Insurance claims repeatedly denied, appeals filed and rejected. A perfect credit score destroyed in just months. The systematic collapse of a middle-class family's financial stability despite doing everything right. Musk leaned back in his chair, thinking about how many others like Mai might be out there. Brilliant minds sidelined not by lack of talent or dedication, but by a system that could turn personal hardship into professional catastrophe. His phone buzzed with a message from the HR director. May's daughter's medical records reviewed. Treatment available through our insurance network. Current hospital willing to transfer care. Another message popped up, this time from the AI team lead. Her code is exceptional. The approach she developed in her car is actually more efficient than our current system. When can she start? Musk stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the parking lot where he'd first spotted May's car. The security feed showed it was still there, now parked in the employee section. Inside, he knew, were all her worldly possessions, carefully organized to maintain the appearance of normalcy. He pressed the intercom button. "Get me the real estate agent we use for employee relocations," he said, "and contact the PR team. I want to discuss a new company initiative." Within an hour, his office was filled with key team members. "We're not just hiring May," he announced. "We're going to create a program. I want to find more people like her, skilled professionals who've been sidelined by circumstances beyond their control." The HR director spoke up. "Sir, we've already identified 3 other potential candidates in similar situations. All highly qualified, all currently homeless or nearly homeless due to medical bills or family emergencies." "Perfect," Musk replied. "Reach out to them. But here's the key. This isn't charity. These are investments in talent. Everyone goes through the same evaluation process. No special treatment beyond helping with immediate stability needs." The team discussed logistics, how to identify candidates, what support to offer, how to maintain dignity throughout the process. May's situation had exposed a gap in the system, a way that talented people could fall through the cracks despite their best efforts. As the meeting concluded, Musk received another message. This one was from May, sent through the company's internal system. "Mr. Musk, I just spoke with my daughter's doctor. I don't know how to thank you for arranging the insurance coverage. Lisa can start her new treatment next week. I promise you won't regret giving me this chance." He typed back a simple reply. "The thanks goes to your dedication. Now, about that neural network design of yours, can you join a meeting tomorrow morning? The team has some questions about implementing it." Looking out his office window again, Musk watched as employees headed home for the day. Each car leaving the lot represented a story, a life, a family. May's situation had revealed something important. Sometimes the greatest untapped potential isn't in new technology, but in the resilient human spirits who refuse to give up, even when the odds are stacked against them. Tomorrow, he thought, would be the first day of a new chapter, not just for Maya and her daughter, but for Tesla and perhaps the entire tech industry. Sometimes the best innovations come from seeing the human side of technology and the technical brilliance in every human. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Tesla's conference room as Mai sat nervously at the large table, surrounded by senior engineers and project leaders. Her laptop was open in front of her, displaying the code she developed during those long nights in her car. She'd spent hours polishing her presentation, determined to prove that Musk's faith in her wasn't misplaced. "The floor is yours," the team lead said warmly, nodding encouragingly. Mai took a deep breath and began explaining her innovative approach to autonomous driving challenges. As she spoke, her nervousness melted away, replaced by the confident expertise that had defined her career before everything fell apart. "The key innovation," she explained, pointing to a section of code, "is how we handle unexpected pedestrian behavior. Instead of just analyzing movement patterns, my system considers cultural and environmental factors that might influence human behavior." The room grew quiet as she demonstrated her solution. One of the senior engineers leaned forward, clearly impressed. "You developed this using just a laptop and public Wi-Fi?" he asked, shaking his head in amazement. "Sometimes limitations breed creativity," May replied with a small smile. "When you can't rely on powerful servers, you learn to write really efficient code." As she concluded her presentation, Musk stood up from his seat at the back of the room. I think we've seen enough, he said, walking to the front. May, your 3-month trial period, consider it shortened to 3 weeks. You've already proved yourself. May's eyes widened in surprise, but Musk wasn't finished. And there's more. We're launching a new initiative, inspired by your situation. We're calling it the Second Chance Engineering Program. You'll help us build it. He clicked a button, and a presentation appeared on the main screen. We're going to identify other talented professionals who've faced similar setbacks. Medical bankruptcies, family emergencies, economic downturns. Circumstances that can derail even the most capable people. The HR director stepped forward, adding, "We've already found 5 candidates. All highly qualified, all facing housing insecurity due to circumstances beyond their control. We want to evaluate them the same way we did you, based on their skills and potential." Mai listened, her heart racing as she realized the impact her story could have. "The temporary housing assistance you provided me," she said thoughtfully, "it made all the difference. I could focus on work instead of survival." "Exactly," Musk agreed. "We're partnering with local housing providers. Candidates will receive 3 months of housing assistance while they prove themselves, just like you did. But they have to earn their permanent positions." The team spent the next hour discussing implementation details. Mai shared insights from her experience. The importance of maintaining dignity, the challenge of rebuilding professional confidence, the practical hurdles of transitioning from survival mode to a corporate environment. As the meeting concluded, May received a text message that made her eyes well up with tears. It was from her daughter's doctor. Treatment progressing better than expected. Insurance approval came through for the new medication. Musk noticed her emotional moment. "Everything okay?" May nodded, wiping her eyes quickly. "More than okay. My daughter, the treatment is working. I can't believe how much has changed in just a few weeks." "That's what this program is about," Musk replied. "Not just giving people jobs, but giving them their lives back. The ability to focus on what really matters." Looking around the conference room, now filled with excited chatter about the new initiative, Mai felt a profound sense of purpose. Her worst moment, living in her car, coding by streetlight, had somehow led to her best opportunity to make a difference. "When do we start?" she asked, already pulling up a blank document to begin planning. "We already have," Musk replied. "The first candidate interviews are scheduled for next week. And May," he added with a knowing look, "you'll be conducting the technical evaluations. After all, you know better than anyone what to look for." As she gathered her things to head to her new office, Mai paused at the window. In the parking lot below, she could see her old Honda Civic, now just a car again, not a home. Sometimes, she realized, the worst chapters of our lives can lead to the most meaningful ones, if we just hold on long enough to let go find us. 3 months flew by like a whirlwind. Mai sat at her desk, now personalized with a small photo of her daughter smiling from her first day back at school. The office around her buzzed with energy as new team members, all part of the Second Chance program, worked on various projects. She opened her laptop to review the latest autonomous driving test results. Her algorithm had not only been implemented, but had improved Tesla's self-driving capabilities by an impressive margin. The team had nicknamed it the Resilience Protocol, a nod to both its adaptive nature and its creator's journey. "Got a minute?" A voice called from her office doorway. It was Mr. Chen, one of the new engineers hired through the program. Like May, he had faced devastating medical bills that had left him homeless. Unlike her, he'd been living in shelters for 6 months before Tesla found him. "The simulation results are incredible," he said, placing a tablet on her desk. "We modified your pedestrian prediction model for busy intersections. Error rates dropped by 40%. May smiled, remembering how she developed that code during those long nights in her car. "Sometimes the best solutions come from unexpected places," she replied, scrolling through the data. Her phone buzzed. a reminder for the monthly program review with Musk. She gathered her reports and headed to the conference room, where other team leaders were already assembled. The walls were covered with charts showing the program's progress. "Let's start with the numbers," Musk said as the meeting began. "How many engineers have we brought on board?" The HR director pulled up a presentation. 23 so far. All have completed their trial periods successfully. Retention rate is 100%. Performance metrics are exceeding expectations across the board. Mai added her own update. The collaborative environment has led to some unexpected innovations. People who faced serious challenges tend to think differently about problems. They find creative solutions others might miss. The room nodded in agreement. The program had transformed from a humanitarian initiative into a genuine competitive advantage. Other tech companies had started reaching out, wanting to learn more about Tesla's approach. "There's something else," May continued, pulling up a new slide. "Remember the housing assistance we provide? We've partnered with a local nonprofit to create a transitional housing complex specifically for tech professionals. It's not just shelter, it's a space where they can work, collaborate, and rebuild their careers." Musk leaned forward, interested. "How many people can it accommodate?" 50 families to start. We've already got 15 tech companies interested in sponsoring units. They've seen our results and want to be part of the solution. After the meeting, Mad walked back to her office, passing by the new wing where program participants worked. Through the glass walls, she could see people hunched over computers, engaged in animated discussions, solving problems that would make the world a little better. Her phone lit up with a text from her daughter. "Mom, I got an A on my science project. The one about electric cars. Can we celebrate tonight?" Mai texted back quickly. "Absolutely. Pizza and movie night." It still felt surreal sometimes. Having a home again, being able to plan simple family celebrations, not having to count every penny or worry about where they'd sleep. She glanced at her calendar. Tomorrow she'd be interviewing 3 new program candidates. One was a former quantum computing specialist who'd lost everything caring for her elderly parents. Another was a cybersecurity expert who'd become homeless after a lengthy hospital stay. Opening her desk drawer, Mai pulled out a small notebook, the same one she'd used to jot down code ideas during those difficult nights in her car. She'd kept it as a reminder of where she'd been and how far she'd come. On the last page, she'd written a new note. "Sometimes the darkest nights lead us to the brightest mornings. Keep going." She'd started sharing this message with every new program participant, watching their eyes light up with recognition and hope. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows through the office windows, May could see her old parking spot from her desk. It was now marked with a small sign. "Reserved for second chance program participants." A reminder that everyone deserves an opportunity to rebuild, to contribute, to rise again. 1 year later, May stood on a stage at Tesla's annual technology conference, looking out at a sea of faces. The spotlight felt warm on her face as she prepared to share her story. In the front row, her daughter sat beside Elon Musk, clutching a small notebook just like the one her mother had used during their hardest days. A year ago, May began, her voice steady and clear. "I was living in my car, coding by streetlight in a parking lot. Today, I'm leading Tesla's Community Impact Division and helping shape the future of autonomous driving technology. But this isn't just my story." She clicked to the next slide, showing a map dotted with bright points of light. These are the locations where the Second Chance engineering program has spread. 32 tech companies have adopted our model. Over 500 engineers have found their way back to their careers. But more importantly, they've found their way back to stability, to dignity, to hope. The screen behind her filled with before and after statistics. Our program participants have filed 43 patents in the past year. They've solved problems that stumped traditional approaches. When you've had to rebuild your life from scratch, you look at challenges differently. Mai paused, taking a sip of water. But the real impact goes beyond numbers. We've created a support network that extends far beyond Tesla. Program graduates are mentoring others facing similar challenges. They're speaking at universities about resilience and innovation. They're changing how the tech industry thinks about talent and opportunity. She gestured to a group sitting together in the middle of the audience. Meet our latest graduating class. A former quantum computing researcher who lost everything to medical bills. A cybersecurity expert who became homeless after a natural disaster. A database architect who had to choose between paying rent and paying for his child's surgery. Today, they're all back where they belong, using their skills to make the world better. The screen changed to show a new building, modern, welcoming, filled with light. This is our newest initiative, the Innovation Restart Center. It's not just transitional housing. It's an incubator for comeback stories. Solar-powered workspaces, high-speed internet, childcare facilities, and medical care. Everything needed to help brilliant minds focus on what they do best. Innovate. Musk stood up and joined her on stage. When I first met Mai, he said, taking the microphone, I thought I was just helping one person. Instead, she helped us discover an untapped reservoir of talent. This program isn't charity. It's good business. It's about recognizing that setbacks don't erase expertise. May's daughter came up next, carrying something covered by a cloth. She unveiled it. May's old laptop, the one she'd used in her car, now mounted in a display case. The plaque read, Sometimes the greatest innovations come from the darkest moments. Keep coding. Keep hoping. Keep going. We're not just changing lives, May concluded, her voice full of emotion. We're changing how we think about success, failure, and second chances. Every person who's ever faced a setback and wondered if they'd ever recover, this is for you. Your story isn't over. Sometimes it's just beginning. After the presentation, Mai walked through the conference hall, now buzzing with excitement. Other companies were already lining up to join the program. News crews were setting up for interviews. But what made her pause was a small group gathered around a laptop in the corner. Program participants from different companies, already collaborating on new ideas. Her phone buzzed with a message from her daughter. Mom, my science club wants to learn coding. Can some of your team members teach us? May smiled, typing back a quick yes. Before pocketing her phone, she glanced at her calendar. Tomorrow, she'd be interviewing more candidates. The day after, she'd be meeting with other tech leaders about expanding the program internationally. The ripple effect kept growing. Looking out the window at Tesla's parking lot, she could no longer see her old spot. The entire section had been transformed into a charging station for program participants' cars. Where one car had once held a woman's broken dreams, now stood a symbol of transformation, hope, and the power of seeing potential where others saw only problems.